Alright, hello. It's time to take a look at all the new Incarnon weapons. Well, they aren't out yet, but they're gonna be out in the next update. Currently, we don't know what they will look like in their Incarnon form. We might find out on Friday on the dev stream that is coming from the but if we don't find out, then we'll find out on the update definitely. These weapons are all confirmed. We have the Obex, the Destreza, the Stug, the Ballistica Prime, and finally, the one and only Vectis Prime, my favorite sniper rifle in the game. For the few next videos, we will see only these weapons, these 5 weapons, one video per weapon, and we'll kind of analyze them, take a look what they are currently, and maybe brainstorm ideas of what their Incarnon form could be. Now, obviously, this is all, speculation from my part, but obviously, you can also have your ideas, you can also have your speculation. It's fun to speculate on those things, and currently we don't have really anything to do in this game, so this is probably the best thing we can do. Starting today, I'm gonna start with the one that is very interesting to me, at least, because it's the Obex. It's not interesting because the Obex is a really good weapon, it's interesting because Obex is a sparring weapon. Sparring weapons currently have 2 really big issues. One is that they have really ridiculously low range, like 1.25 meters at base is insane, which can easily be fixed by an Incarnon form of the weapon, since Incarnon forms usually tend to increase the weapon's range. And the other one is that these weapons have a really silly heavy attack which slams the ground and deals 500% damage, but it uses some old calculations that these used to have on slam attacks, and that basically results in really bad damage. So the second heavy attack, which we're gonna showcase, it's way better. So this weapon, as you can see, pretty high even disposition, obviously really high follow through since it's a sparring weapon, and those are the 2 biggest, like, absolutely goated stuff about it. So if you can make the Incarnon form have some extra range, and then you make it so that heavy attacks during the Incarnon form do something different, so you can take better care of, Tennokai, then this weapon could become extremely powerful. Now, as I said, the heavy attack is the biggest issue with this one. The range is fixable, the heavy attack isn't, and obviously I have 2 builds here, one with Animosity and one with Influence. Sadly, Afflictions is not good with its stance. As you can see, we barely have anything that knocks up or does anything, so we cannot really abuse Afflictions. I'm not sure if Grim Fury has anything, but from what I checked, it's not really that different, and even if it did, the damage percentages is really low. So I'm not really sure, but overall, this worked really well. And I could format it one more time to fit a better Tennokai mode, but I really can't be ours, and this is obviously good enough, like easily good enough for me. I have a Riven mode already for when this gets its Incarnon. As you can see, currently nothing too special. Maybe when its Incarnon arrives we get something interesting and it becomes special, but from what it is now I can't really fit it. So let's see how it plays out real quick. Obex in general and sparring weapons aren't bad at all. The Koda Hirudo is one of the best melee weapons, especially when you need that extra utility that it provides. Because in case you don't know, the Koda Hirudo, when you get kills, you increase your maximum HP and you also lifesteal. So there is a lot to be had from that weapon. The heavy attacks lifesteal. But in general, it's a weapon that if you're health tanking, it can help you a lot and you can deal a lot of damage. So I'm gonna showcase the Influence build first, which is gonna look pretty much like any other weapon with Influence. I mean, this is a weapon with 90% follow through and pretty decent stats, so Influence on it is bound to do pretty well. But if I'm being so for real, I'm curious to see what they actually do with its Incarnon, because you can imagine that this, right, here's the heavy attack, by the way. It does this, and it's very inconsistent. Like, as you see, some people took no damage, and some people took like 3,000 damage. Now some people took 37,000 damage, and some people took 3,000 damage. It's super inconsistent. I'm not really sure what's going on there, so just have that in mind. But yeah, anyways, the weapon itself, if you ignore that heavy attack, if you do slide and then heavy attack, it performs a different heavy attack, which is a lot better. But while playing with every other weapon that you don't need to actually slide and heavy attack, this takes away from the flow of gameplay and melee attacking in general. The stance also has some weird hit detection, but it's not that big of a deal, honestly. Overall, as you can see, there is a lot of red quits that we had, and the damage is pretty nice. Like, I did it, it's influence, but that's some pretty decent damage for building influence, because influence has a lot of utility, and this weapon you need to build for range, because if you don't, then you barely hit anything. And overall, it does pretty well already. Like, it's not bad. It's not, I think, out of all the Incarnons we're gonna get, this is the second weakest one. The weakest one being obviously the Stug. The Stug is currently the weakest weapon in the entire game, so we'll see how that one turns out. And we'll talk about it probably tomorrow. I think tomorrow I'm gonna do the Stug, and then the day after I'm probably gonna do Ballistica. But I wanted to talk about Obex because I can imagine its heavy attacks being something like Baruch, where Baruch does like the hits that he throws forward. What if the heavy attack slammed the ground and pushed a shockwave like all the way there, you know? That would be awesome. Like, I can see that being absolutely incredible. I would prefer it if it was just straight up a fist weapon getting the Incarnon, because fist weapons are just sparring weapons but with a combo that deals 100,000 times more damage, to be honest. But that's not really a sparring weapon issue, it's more like the stance modes and how they work in this game. Overall, this is still a pretty solid weapon. Like, even now, if you want to pick this weapon up, the Prisma Obex is pretty good. And currently, in case you're not aware, Prisma Obex is actually extremely expensive because of the announcement of the Incarnon that it's gonna get, and the fact that it hasn't been on Barracuda for a while now. The weapon is quite expensive. If you don't have it, do not buy it. Wait for Barracuda to come around, wait for you to farm it and actually pick it up from Barracuda. Barracuda will come and give you the weapon 100% at some point, because there is no way the ever just releases the weapon itself, and they don't just have a Barracuda available for you to actually farm the weapon and get it. So definitely keep your eyes on the next 2 Barracudas at least, to see if the weapon is actually there, because it's gonna save you a lot of platinum, and you could actually make a lot of platinum if you buy copies, so definitely keep an eye out on that. So we're gonna see that damage on Malice. On this build, we're gonna see way less damage onto Malice than we would do on the melee Animosity build. Although the electric procs from Influence still go crazy. I don't even think I touched Malice there, so this shows how kind of busted melee Influence is as an arcane. And obviously, with the low range and high follow through this thing has, melee Influence is just the best for sure on it. Like, there is no way, no reason to do anything else than melee Influence here when you have a range of 1.25 meters. If you can somehow increase the base range of this weapon to be like, not the base range, but the range of your attacks on this weapon, if you can increase them to be closer to 10 meters, then sure, you can actually benefit from this way more, do way more from it, and just build for something else. Sadly, the fact that you cannot use afflictions on here either, aside from the heavy attack, which, let's be real, I don't know what I'm looking at. Like, genuinely, that guy took no damage. The pull-off on this heavy attack is just straight up weird. And sadly, it doesn't really benefit well from the range modes from heavy attacks, so you might as well just slide in heavy attack and just do it 1,000 times better. I don't see any reason why you would want to keep this. So let's see. Maybe D gives us some kind of shockwave attack on heavy attack, and that would benefit afflictions, and then that would make afflictions an insane pick on this weapon. So, you know, hopefully the prophecy comes true. But at the same time, I would accept something a lot more interesting than that, because, you know, I think a shockwave on heavy attack that goes from the ground like in front of you, yeah, sure, that's cool, but it's been done before. It's not really innovating. You're not reinventing the wheel with this Incarnon. And I would like to see some interesting Incarnon weapons. You know, I would like to see the Incarnon form of these weapons be something that we've never seen before, at least one of them. That would be really, really cool. We won't know, obviously, until either Friday or the next time, or the next update. Speculation is always nice to have. The second build is focused more around the innate slash procs, or the innate viral procs on these weapons. Honestly, as you can see, well, I said innate viral procs, but they don't exist any. You have some slash procs, at least on the heavy attacks, which is really nice, but everything else, man, sparring weapons. I mean, Damn. So yeah, pure damage is the idea here, as much damage as possible. Obviously, you still need prime reach because the range of this weapon is just abysmal without it. But outside of that, just a pretty regular melee build, kinda like viral melee build. Nothing too interesting on that. I don't think this will be like if I go ahead and pick the two Incarnon weapons, like when they come out. Obviously, wait for videos because people are gonna put out videos. I'm gonna try to put out videos as quickly as possible. I might even buy the Incarnon Genesis adapters from Cavalero when they come out, because that will probably be a thing at least. But yeah, straight up, you should wait. You should just wait, see what people have to say, see how the forms work themselves, and if you like some, you know, you just scope that and take that. But overall, I don't think any Incarnon weapon will really be bad, regardless of what it is. Like, especially as a melee weapon, all Incarnon melee weapons, every single one is good. There is no way one can be bad, just because of what they are, what melee weapons are in general. Alright, I kind of hate that room, so I'm gonna avoid it and just play around here. But yeah, if they can fix the major issues of the Turismo Obex, which is the range and the heavy attack, we might see a really good weapon. Like a really strong weapon. You know, Tina had the Spectral Daggers, something like that could also work here and would be pretty nice, but I don't know, man. I'm really keen on seeing something done with the heavy attack of this weapon on the Incarnon form, or like having an Incarnon form where the heavy attacks do something different than the regular heavy attacks of the weapon. Similar to how Rubok's heavy slam attacks put people on spikes and then you can detonate those spikes. Like, those are cool mechanics. Like, we would like to see more of those, or at least I would. I think you guys would agree though that something with some special effects, some weird shenanigans, some weird mechanics, those things are cool in general. I also lost my 10. Okay, oops. We'll see. Obviously, really hopeful about all of the Incarnon weapons. I think the Stug is probably gonna be the one people pick up the most when they start. Personally, I will go for Vectis and probably Ballistica or Destreza. We'll see. I had never really tried Ballistica, and I'm gonna be honest that the weapon is actually quite good. You'll see on the video when I make a video about it, but I was kind of surprised that the results of the weapon were actually quite good. So that weapon getting an Incarnon for now, I'm pretty skeptical. I'm thinking that the weapon will actually be really good, because not only is it considered a bad weapon, it's also a weapon that is fully single target. So the Incarnon form, you know, we can get some stats that help it with single target even more, and then we can also get some stats that make it just way stronger on like dealing with AoE during the Incarnon form. So you can have both single target and Incarnon form give you like AoE. So, I mean, we'll see, time will tell, but I'm really hopeful on the Destreza. I think it could genuinely like become amazing. Same for the Stug. The Stug, I don't know, I feel like it reminds me of another weapon. I will talk more about it on the actual video about the Stug, but it definitely reminds me of a different weapon we already have in the game and people deem overpowered, so I feel like they could do something similar with the Stug and people would probably be happy, although I would be kind of disappointed because I don't want to see something I already have in the game but different stats. I would like to see something different, you know? Hey, we'll see. Hopefully they reveal some stuff or they show some stuff during the dev stream. I will be there to check it out. I don't know if I will stream it because my internet has been kind of shit during summertime. It always is like that since I sadly don't have fiber. I'm working and uploading videos to you guys through VDSL and an upload speed of 10 megabits per second, which is honestly kind of tragic. But hopefully that will change soon, and hopefully you guys will see me streaming often again, because I genuinely like streaming a lot and I would like to talk to all of you. Way more than I do now. So I'm waiting for the Acolyte here. I'm gonna just showcase the amount of damage that I can do to the Acolyte using this build. Because if I'm being so for real, the heavy attacks on this build do quite a bit of damage. Obviously, we have opted for the straight up damage on the build, so heavy attacks hurt. Oh, well, that guy didn't hurt that much, but I've seen them heavy attacks do like 3 million damage to armored enemies. Like fully armored enemies, which is, you know, 30 million damage if the enemy is unarmored, so pretty good. But, you know, there is potential. As you can clearly see. Melee Animosity is kind of underrated on weapons that don't really use afflictions much. So like, if you don't like influence, you want to play a melee weapon that has a lot of range and it can do like high follow-through damage. Melee afflictions, you know, if it doesn't work, you can easily do Melee Animosity. And Melee Animosity, the crit damage it provides is quite a bit. So it's not a bad choice when paired with Tennokai to actually do a ton of damage. Also, I'm forgetting on this build I actually have Mentor's Legacy for Tennokai, which reduced my range, but yeah. Pretty hopeful for the Obex. I really think that it could get some pretty decent changes, so we'll see. The disposition is quite high also on pretty much all of these weapons. I think Vectis is 4 dots, the Obex is 4 dots, the Streza is 4 dots. Ballistica, I'm not sure actually. I don't remember how much Ballistica is. It's either 4 or 5 dots probably, because of its usability. But yeah, all of them are quite high on disposition, which is really nice. If you have Rivens, then you're definitely gonna be eating well when these Incarnon weapons do come out. Anyways, that's gonna be it for today's video. I'll see you tomorrow for the slug. Stay tuned for that one. Thank you very much for watching another video, and I'll see you on the next one.